regular select board meeting will open at 5. And so for this work session, we have present here Select Board Member Mary Wright, Michael Herman, and myself, Meph Runyon, and we're joined by Assistant Town Manager Mark Reel, Executive Assistant Molly Bates, and Executive Assistant Laura St. John Dupuis. So we have 2 policies and 1 charge on our agenda. And in order to just sort of be kind to Denise, we could start with you and let you leave early.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay. So, yeah, so it's, so you take it away.
Okay, well, thanks for having me here. I have a packet of information that you should have received. And this is a follow-up to the May 6th meeting workshop that you had that I was unable to attend. So in your packet, you should have a brief description of our current policies with recommendations. And then also you should have a red line version of our select board policies along with other policies that we have in place. And then in addition, new recommended policies. So
Denise, can I just ask Molly a question? Is that in our work, is that in the workbooks section, not in the regular agenda? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Sorry, Denise,
That's
go
okay.
ahead.
So I understand that you did review the current policies for the select board during the May 6th meeting. And I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. I'm happy to just review very quickly where I think things were left off, even though I wasn't here. I was able to review the video. So, first policy is appointment of new police officers, and what we did was we updated this to reflect our current practice. In there, you'll see that there's a 1-year probationary period for the police officers that we included in this policy. The next policy is the EEO policy, delegation of responsibility. And what we did on that policy, and I should tell you, I have consulted with legal to come up with this recommended policy packet. So I work very closely with them. So the updated protected classes were included in this EEO policy. And then we also designated myself as the EEO officer. The G3 drug-free workplace, we made some revisions there as well. We updated the policy to include language that employees may not use prescription drugs illegally or use marijuana while on duty, including for medical purposes. Legally prescribed medications are allowed if they do not impair job performance, and supervisors are notified when necessary. Off-duty medical marijuana is permitted for most employees, excluding public safety and transportation roles, only if it does not affect performance. The next policy is the controlled substance and alcohol policy. That policy is based off a DOT model policy, so there were some slight revisions there. The health and safety policy, there were no changes to that policy recommended. The harassment policy, we have a Mass Commission Against Discrimination policy, and we follow that model policy, so there were some changes there. Personal use of town vehicles, no changes. The performance evaluation, I understand there were discussions during the last meeting on May 6th. And so it appeared that there was more discussion that needed to take place concerning the completion of the town meeting evaluation occurring prior to annual elections. That seemed to be an issue. And also the chief's finance director and town manager were to provide a mid-year oral report and a year-end report, but this was by April 15th, so there were concerns too about having an April 15th deadline when the goals are actually through the end of the fiscal year. The departmental backup plan, G10, We agreed to archive that at your last meeting. And complaints regarding personnel, we recommend removing step 4 to address oversight of staff. And then G12, employee reward for innovation program, we agreed to archive that as well. There's several other policies that are not select board policies that we do have in place, and that's the whistleblower policy, the FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, the criminal background and the sexual background checks that we do. None of those policies required any changes. The electronic systems policy, we updated to access, requiring that nobody access another person's email. So I think that I've given you the overview. I know Mary had some concerns, so I wanted to see if I could address those as well.
So I sent you emails today, so if you want to just look at those, I was not clear on the drug-free workplace. Let's see if we can get to that. It was, these no page numbers make life, okay. So the second, or it was the bullets under, or ABCs under the second paragraph, it didn't seem to, it seemed like it says that these prohibitions shall result in the following personnel actions against you: mandatory participation, unpaid leave of absence, and termination. But I wasn't sure, it sounded to me like these are ones that you could do each of these, or there was some combination, but the way it reads to me was that, even if you do those things, you're still gonna be terminated. So
Okay.
I wasn't, that just seemed, that,
Yeah.
and so there's nothing around, it also seemed to be the sort of like, okay, so, now granted, it's the severity of the personnel actions, it just seemed like that it looked like those three things were going to happen to you.
Right. I think that next sentence, as you just mentioned, the severity of any personal action shall be decided by the supervisor of such employee with the approval of the town manager. And I think that's the key. The severity of it is going to determine whether it's progressive, or if we skip a step and go right to, number B. It all depends on the severity of it.
Okay, it's just when I read it, I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So it seemed, anyway, if you believe that someone is going to read that and understand what that means, because that was not clear to me.
Okay.
Okay?
Just, yeah, if we need to make a change, now is the time to do it.
Right.
So,
So it just seemed like the terms of the violation shall, it's because what it says is it shall result in the following personnel actions.
yes. So maybe what I could do
Is
is
it-
consult with our labor attorney.
Okay.
And come up with language that addresses your concern.
Okay, that would be great, because it seems like the severity should be discussed before these are the things that are going to happen to you.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
That was just not clear to me. Okay.
May I add to that? I think could be as simple as just adding an or, like at the end of each of A, B, and C, or A and B. Because it would kind of be it's gonna be this, or it could be this, or it could be. And then it goes into the severity of any personal action shall be decided by the supervisor. You know what I mean? Like,
Or
it's not
the
listed.
prohibition may result in the following personnel actions, because it's saying, any of these three may happen. It's not that all three of these shall happen,
It may result in one of the following,
or something, yeah. It's just, it just sounded like.
one or more of the following
Right.
personnel actions.
something.
Would that work?
I think that's something to be sure that, everybody agrees that, legal says, yes, that's okay. But just the way I read it was that even if I did my participation in my rehab program, I was still going to be terminated.
Right. That's not the intent. So
And that's
we-
not the
yeah.
intent, right,
So we can definitely work on that, and
Okay.
I'll consult with labor attorney.
right. And then, is it the policy that if you use marijuana at all, off-duty?
You bring up a great question, and I have a message into our labor attorney, because it's very unclear to me whether or not off-duty marijuana can be used
Right.
recreationally.
Okay,
It's not addressed in this policy, so I think that's something we need to look into.
be clear on, because it's, I mean, what it brings up to me is, because it says the use of marijuana, you're done, right, is prohibited under this policy. And so that brings, if that's true, then that brings up a whole raft of things around why is marijuana use not okay, which is a legal thing, whereas alcohol is not. And then there's the issue of, okay, well, if it's not if it's not allowed, how are we enforcing that? I mean, that brings up all kinds of stuff to me.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Okay.
You want to just continue on through, Mary, and
Yeah, was this also where the nursing mothers thing was?
The nursing mothers is part of the new policies that we
Okay.
recommend.
And that's under the social media, that's what this, I guess the other, is the AD, I'm sorry, I should have labeled this better. Is the ADA stuff in here, or is that the other ones?
The ADA is in the packet with the new recommended policy.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's all I had on these.
Okay.
Denise, when I was at home reading this, there was a page that I had regarding the ADA committee that, and I'm not finding it right at the moment, but I did want to ask about that.
As terms of the ADA committee, I'm not familiar with that. I do know we have an ADA coordinator who's our building commissioner, and I'm just not sure what the status of that is and how involved the building commissioner might be in that.
Is
So-
that in the policies to consider?
No, I don't believe it's in there. Unless, did you see it in there, Beth?
I saw it on my tablet when I was reading this stuff earlier today. And I don't know if it was in this workshop material or in the regular agenda material, but I can't find it now. And I didn't really have any, I just wanted to ask in general, because we don't have that committee. And as I understand it, we really need to have that committee. And it relates to, being qualified for grant applications in a lot of cases for, and it's come up in the recreation project.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that at some point, we're going to talk about that. It might not be tonight, especially since I can't find it.
Okay, so I've reviewed with you, and there doesn't appear to be any other questions on the existing policies.
Yeah. Michael.
I had a similar question to Mary about the off-duty and the marijuana, and I don't know if that's because it's federal versus state.
Yeah,
It hasn't been updated, but you'll look into that, right?
I will definitely look into that.
And then just I know you're going to relook at this, I guess, and when you redo these, we're going to put on the top right, town manager
Yes.
on all of these, and then the dates, the way we dated it in the first policies, A, B, C. Do you remember how we changed the structure of how we date these kind of things at the bottom where say prepared, adopted, review? Remember that, Mark? We
Yeah,
kinda
I
came-
would say any of the formatting pieces we. will
You're gonna
address.
look at, okay, just
Yep.
mentioning that.
So, go ahead, Mike.
No, and that was all on the ones that are the current policies that I had questions on. Thank you.
Okay. So now I'll review with you the recommended new policies, and most of these are federal and state policies, and they were recommended by our Labor Council. So I'll briefly give you a summary of each one, and then if you have questions, we can certainly talk about it. The first policy is the Americans with Disability Act and Reasonable Accommodations. So the ADA prohibits employment discrimination against individuals with disabilities and requires the town to provide equal access for job opportunities and benefits. The town's responsible for making accommodations such as modified schedules or light duty. Those are examples of accommodations, unless doing so would create an undue hardship for the town or organization. The next policy is the reasonable accommodation religious beliefs and practices, again, a state and federal law. So this allows for accommodations for employees' sincerely held religious beliefs, practices, and observances, unless doing so would create an undue hardship. The next policy is the non-discrimination and reasonable accommodations for pregnancy-related conditions. So here, employees cannot be discriminated against due to pregnancy or childbirth. They're eligible for reasonable accommodations that allow them to perform their job duties unless it will create an undue hardship. Examples of this would be more frequent or long break periods, modifications to work schedules, and there's a whole list of other accommodations that we could consider. The next policy is the nursing mothers policy. And this ensures that employees who are breastfeeding have break time and access to a private, non-bathroom space to express breast milk during the workday. We also have employment classifications. This policy defines employees that are exempt, or positions that are exempt and not exempt from OT, and that's under the Fair Labor Standard Act. We also have a personal records, access to records policy that we're recommending. And here, the town must allow employees to review and receive a copy of their personal records within 5 days of their request. And the town must notify an employee within 10 days if it places negative information into their employee file that could affect employment, promotion, transfer, compensation, or disciplinary action. Jury duty. The town pays for the first 3 days of jury duty, and that's a requirement. The mass parental leave, employees are entitled up to 8 weeks of protected unpaid leave in a 12-month period for the birth or adoption of a child. Then we have employee conduct. So employees are expected to maintain professional, honest, safe, and respectful work at all times. And this policy outlines the infractions that may result in disciplinary action, up to including termination of employment. 2 more to go. One is the workplace violence. This policy sets clear expectations and procedures to prevent, report, and respond to any threats, harassment, or acts of violence in the workplace, and to ensure a safe working environment for all employees. And the last is the social media policy. We want to make sure that our employees use social media responsibly, ensure they don't share false, harassing, or confidential information, and they must also avoid speaking on behalf of the town, respect workplace restrictions on social media use, and clearly state that personal posts do not represent the town's views. So those are the policies. Not sure if you have questions on those.
So, Mary?
Yeah, I guess this was, one was more of a general question on the ADA and the reasonable accommodations. Do we at any point anywhere else talk about the importance of using universal design in any building or reconstruction of any municipal facility?
So it's my understanding that the building code would address those.
No, because I'm just thinking in terms of, because one of the things about the ADA and reasonable accommodations is the notion that if all buildings are thought of and all equipment is thought of as recognizing the concepts of universal design, that some of this specificity, it's not that it's not important, but it just, again, that's one of those things of a policy for us as the town to say that anytime we're going to do a building, we should be thinking about universal design. And this certainly came up when we had the conversations with the rec department and thinking about what the new playground was going to look like and all that stuff. It's that if you think about things from a universal design perspective, then some of the stuff on the ADA sounds a little less that we're always making accommodations for someone who has a disability and thinking more about how is it that we make our spaces more usable by everyone. So that's more of so it's not so much a building code, it's a thought process. The same way we talk a lot about we want to be sure that our buildings are energy efficient, and we want to have sort of these sort of bigger global I would call it a global issue rather than a specific, I want to be sure I'm accommodating something.
So it's more, it's beyond like the ADA building requirements.
A little beyond, yeah. So it's just, and again, I'm just thinking about this, that we talk always about wanting to be sure we are addressing these more universal thoughts. And so I would suggest that we should be thinking about how do we introduce the concept of universal design as opposed to always be thinking about this. So that's that's probably a separate conversation, but I wanted to bring that up. So that was, I guess the other thing is, and this gets into somewhat of our, some of the electronics and whatever is, we talk about wanting to have the accommodations that'll work for everybody. Sort of how far have we gone in thinking about how our website and externally facing things are in terms of being able to do Braille readers or any of those kinds of things? I mean, are we thinking about whether or not we're going to be, like, 508 compliant for the website? I mean, some of those issues, and again, I just don't know.
Website, I talked with Peter today about that, and they're very much, the components that are required are instituted in the website
Okay.
design, so.
Great.
Beyond that, you talk about some of the materials that are produced, maybe we need to be thinking more clearly on making sure that some of those, like flyers and those types of things, are meeting some of those requirements as well.
Right, so I think that's more, again, that's a policy, that's another policy where we're thinking about, are we sure that everything that we are doing is accessible by multimodal abilities? So, and again, that's just one of those, it's more of a overarching policy that we're thinking about all those. Okay, so let's see, what else did I have? I had, this just came to me on jury duty. If somebody were to end up on something that, heaven forbid, they're there for like 6 weeks by, because they didn't figure out how to
We
be
do a
on
grand jury.
right, grand jury duty. Do we have to put in anything that says, we will not fire you because you ended up on jury duty? Or you will not lose your job because you've been called to be on jury duty?
Right, the town can't retaliate against someone for attending jury duty. I'm trying to look at it right now and see what it says.
There's contractual language as well
Yeah,
for unions
Okay.
that would overrule some of this. That is a little more stringent.
Because I certainly don't want somebody to end up feeling like they can't serve on a jury and because they're concerned about losing their job. That's not that's not, I mean, it's more of a better, that's not a good place to be. What else did I have? I had, employee conduct, there was some reference in here, negligence or improper conduct leading to damage of town-owned, employee-owned, or customer-owned property. I wasn't sure who
it
customers,
shouldn't be,
Okay.
these are model policies.
That's what I
that came
figured.
From our labor attorney, so that's why that needs to be fixed.
that's fine. And I think I sent you another one about organization, which didn't quite fit. Then the social media policy in general, it has a completely different voice because it's talking to you as opposed to being policies. So I wasn't sure if we wanted to revise that to go back to more policy sounding as opposed to sound like something would be an employee handbook.
Right. I think that's fine. I did consult with our labor attorney, and they thought that was fine to, change it so that it reads more consistent with the rest of the policies.
Okay, all right. Fine, I think the other thing I sent you was a couple of typo things, so, fine, okay. Those were my concerns. Thanks.
Anything, Michael?
Not on these. I'm glad we're adding them. I think they're great. One thing I did want to point out to Mary, and I agree with her, we have the policies, but then we have kind of our philosophy, which I think you're talking about. And I know we embedded it, I put it in last year's goals. At the start of the goals, we have kind of our philosophy, where it might not be a policy, but let's always strive to go over and above.
Right.
In making sure that we're accommodating to all of our residents, all the environment, whatever we can do. I think we commit consistently to striving through every action, large and small, to improve the quality of life, livability of our residents, and enhances the health of our natural environment. So, I mean, I like that, and I think maybe I'm gonna suggest we keep that in for next year's goals. That it's great that we look at all these policies and the fine detail every 10 years, if you will, sorry, but it's how we act every day. And a lot of these can be looked at in very different ways, but I hope as a town, we're leading as a select board, and I know our town staff is following, to always try to go over and above in helping the residents and the fellow staff and everybody. It should just be kind of like that precautionary principle, if you will, you know? I don't know, to me, that's important.
So Denise, my question is really, you said some of these were select board policies and some of them are not. If they're not select board policies, whose policies are they?
That's a good question. Don't have the answer for you exactly. I just know that there are policies that are distributed to employees when they start their employment. And they've been in existence for years, and I'm not sure where they came from. But they're solid policies that should be distributed. Whether or not they're select board policies,
Should we clean that up, though, as we're doing this?
I think we should, yes.
And the other thing that was going in my mind as Mary was talking was, you're suggesting basically 11 new policies. And everything that Mary was discussing is something that would appear in one of those 11. We weren't talking about another additional policy on top of these 11.
My understanding is we were not.
Is that, would you say that's true? Okay. I'm just trying to make sure we don't multiply our policies any more than we have to.
Right?
Okay, so is that what you're expecting as far as a review at this meeting?
Yes.
And I think that it sounds like there's some follow-up to what was brought today. That maybe, I don't know, the board wants to do another workshop on this, the next round. It won't take as long. Or you,
Kind of like the environmental policy, I think
Yeah.
if we clean it up
and then you can
just
vote on
at
that.
our next work session, I guess,
Yeah.
we would finalize it and then move it on to be voted at the regular meeting.
Right.
We could probably work session and vote
Yeah.
in the regular meeting.
Mhm.
But I think the way this has been working is that whatever we approve or agree on at the work session gets to, not the regular meeting that starts after the work session, but the regular meeting that happens, that next happens after that, so.
Well, that's-
It wouldn't, in
that's
other
what
words, it
we're
wouldn't
doing.
be done on the same day. The final, because it's not on the agenda for the regular meeting.
No, for the next meeting. Like,
Yes.
This is the first one.
Well, and then we have a regular meeting coming right up after this, so we're not gonna try to,
Oh, no, we
Yeah.
wouldn't do this, the human resources now. Because I think most of the red line things, they're not significant changes. I think they were great
Correct.
points, but
Yeah.
I think this is very well done.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Denise.
We can clarify the pieces that, you've brought forward.
Right.
And thank you for helping me up the learning curve, because this, I know, will keep going for quite some time, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Hope you can get through whatever it is happening that's on the highway.
Oh, I heard it's awful. An hour and a half to get from Sandwich to Plymouth, so that's what I heard.
And it was taking, a friend of mine left an hour ago, and she'd been, no, 3 hours ago, and she was not off the Cape yet.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
Thanks, Denise.
You're welcome, thank you.
So next, it would be, I think, hopefully finalize our environmental omnibus policy. It's had, I think, 2 go-rounds in our work session, so hopefully we've reached the point where everybody is happy with it.
I'm good.
There's one thing that I think we would like to adjust slightly. In section 12, fertilizer prohibition, well, 12.1, fertilizer application. There's a section in there, as you know, we had talked about taking the language of the warrant articles and the home rule petitions that have been filed in the state legislature and adapt that into the policy. So there's a section or line that says, the application of fertilizer containing nitrogen or phosphorus or any other pollutants in the town of Orleans is prohibited. I would like to propose that we clarify that to say, on town of Orleans municipal property. Which would you prefer? Town of Orleans property or?
Town of Orleans property.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we use municipal property anywhere else that I saw.
Oh, I'm doing it in the wrong place.
Thanks for catching that.
So with the change that Mark will do, is there anything else that anybody wants to talk about? So with expecting the change to be made, can I have a motion to approve this as it now exists? That one
Moved.
exception?
Yes. So moved.
The vote's on the,
Regular session.
regular meeting.
Is that what
We don't have to vote this? Okay,
Just say it's fine. Okay, lovely.
We have a consensus that we're all agreed.
okay, that's good. So then the next thing on here is the Veterans Committee.
Oh, I did make that one point on the, did you get my email regarding the last line of 13?
No.
To include, I think it hadn't been updated when you added the 12. So you see it says policies 4 through 11, the very last line.
Got it.
And just to be clear to everybody, these policies on all of this omnibus are for town-owned properties. These are not for private properties.
Right.
So this is what's next is the first charge, committee charge that was, went through the review process, which was a pretty, in this case, simple one. We did meet with Kevin Higgins, and Michael was there, and Mike was there. And the, does everybody have the red line version of this? They're just, the only, I think, substantive change is to expand the committee from 5 members to 5 members plus 2 associate members. And also to make it clear that you do not have to be a veteran to serve on the committee. Was there anything in here that anybody wanted to discuss?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear. I did send to Mike one of the things, again, the dating at the bottom. We'll follow that.
I don't know what it is, but it will be.
Yeah.
I'll take care of all of that stuff for the charges, the header and the dates and everything, so you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Be all done.
You say you'll do it, I know it'll get done.
So do we have consensus on that one?
Yes.
Yes.
So that'll be in the agenda at the next meeting. And that, with 25 minutes remaining, comes to the end of our agenda. And so is there anything we could use this time constructively for, Mark?
Items for future work sessions, do we have that laid out yet?
We do, we have a couple more committees lined up for the work session on July 1st. So Human Services Advisory Committee and Architectural Review, you said? Yes.
Okay.
So those two, and so in the meantime.
Those
um,
won't take an hour.
No, oh no, there's plenty other.
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah, no. Um, let me-
Well, we're going to get Darren's
Yeah,
financial
so you've
policies.
got financial policies, with Darren, you'll wrap up the human services, or human resource policies. And then those 2 charges, the Human Services Advisory Committee, the Architectural Review Committee. And then, if you wanted to touch on the FY '27 Select Board goals.
Yeah, okay. That would be a good thing. That would be a good thing to be on the agenda next time.
And then-
When is our next work session?
July 1st. And then if time permitting, like I just added to it committees that you wanted to talk about sunsetting or that could be sunsetted, that aren't really functioning anymore. But that's only if you have time, so.
Okay.
There's
Well,
always.
Darren, I assume will take a fair amount of time.
That's it,
Okay,
considering our agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Efficient.
I would move to close the work session at 4:35.
Mary,
Second?
so it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So we.